I'm here to tell you they don't have Jahmyr Gibbs and they don't have Jameson Williams. We do. So you have to scheme up a way to get those guys the ball. Obviously, Gibbs is a running back. So you're looking to run the ball to him. You're going to look to screen to him. But time to get a little bit creative, Dan. And you are creative. And everybody thinks Ben Johnson did everything on his own. He didn't do it all on his own. A lot of it came from Dan Campbell, and Ben Johnson kind of put his own on it. Line up Gibbs in the slot. Move him around. Use a two-back set with Montgomery and him in there. Let's do some hurry up a little bit. It doesn't just have to be in a 2-minute situation. You're stagnant right now. You're down guys. You've got to make plays. And quite frankly, at home tonight, you've got to get out and you've got to establish a lead, and you need the crowd in there into the game. Because the most recent home games, they're there for a minute and the other team finds a way to silence them, and then it feels like it's no longer a home game. When that place is rocking, nobody can hear. Now, you as the Detroit Lions have to come out and you have to force the hand, use the crowd to your advantage, and have that be, not to take it from Seattle, but have it be your 12th man. And have that pick you up. You have the game at home. Allow it to pick you up. Allow it to make up for some of the difference that you don't have in some of the places, like if St. Brown doesn't play or Laporta and all the guys that I've named. Take it and make it your advantage. It's there. How you perform, and we'll see. If they win the toss, you're going to take the ball. If you win the toss, you're going to defer. Typically, I'm a defer guy. I don't know if I'm a defer guy tonight. I'm thinking I want to take the ball and I want to go down the field and I want to score, and I'm not talking about 3. I'm talking about 7. Establish it. Get the crowd in it. Get that tension out of the building. Get the raucousness in the building. Get the doubt to creep in for Dallas and get the confidence to rise up for the Lions. We're here. We're not going anywhere. This is us. We're back. What's going on, everybody? Good Friday morning. It is a feel-good Friday for sure. Let me fix the screen there. There we go. Wow. That was, if there was ever, I try not to go to bed too late. If there was ever a reason to stay up late and have it work out, that was it last night. What an amazing performance by the Detroit Lions. Again, it's a reflection. I talk about it all the time. Life, sports, and business, it is all intertwined. A week ago at this time, everybody was freaking out in Detroit, in Motown, all over the country. There are Lions fans. Everybody was freaking out. The feeling was awful. It was like Thanksgiving dinner was just regurgitated, and we hated it. And Goff said it in the post game in the locker room. He said, everybody remember how we felt, last week at the end of the game and what we felt like coming in on Monday. And let's go from here. Incredible performance. That is the definition of the Detroit Lions of the modern era in 2025. And since Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes took over, chips are all in. Chips are stacked. Cards are stacked. Everything is up against you. You are decimated by injury. You're 7-5. You're reeling a little bit. A hot team comes into your building. I mean, you got injuries all over the place. You got everybody questioning you. You got every reason to doubt yourself if you allow yourself to go there, and they just didn't do it. And that is a reflection, in my opinion, of the character of those guys, of the character of that locker room, of that coaching staff, of upper management, of ownership. Everything has changed, folks. Are they going to go to the playoffs 100% for sure? No, we don't know that. Are they going to go to the Super Bowl and appear? We don't know that. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? We don't know that. But if you are a Lions fan and you are not so proud to be a Lions fan today, probably should question yourself as to why. That is what we've dreamt of for 4, 5, 6, going on 7 decades of doing it the wrong way. And when everything mattered most, they used to come up the smallest. In yesterday's moment, Thursday night football, you're the only game on the schedule. You're on Prime, Amazon Prime, national television, at home at Ford Field. I talked about it on yesterday's show. It was an opportunity to be great. And I quoted Herb Brooks, the great coach of the United States Olympic team, Miracle on Ice in 1980. Great moments are born from great opportunity. I didn't view it. Yes, I was nervous. I talked about that. As a fan, I was nervous. But there's a resiliency to that team. If you view it as an opportunity instead of a threat, the most amazing things can happen. I talked about, let me get into that in just a moment. Let me just first say this. I see a lot of people joining right now. Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate you all. If this is your first time here, I hope you'll stay and hear me out. The QR code in the upper right-hand corner, just go ahead and scan that. That will take you right to our YouTube page. Please smash the subscribe button. We'd love to have you on as a new subscriber. We're picking up some steam here at PB Sports Talk, and I hope to have you here along for the ride. On X, if you are on X, or if you're not on X, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook right now, X is our number one platform where everything goes first. YouTube goes second. The handle at X is at PB Sports Talks with an S on the end. And the QR code there for YouTube is at PB Sports Talk. How you doing? Is that Travis King? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining the show. Dino, thanks for joining the show. So yesterday, in the lead up, yesterday morning at this time, I came on live and I talked about the whole entire game, what it meant. I thought, what we were looking, season on the brink, what we were up against, what I personally was looking for. And I said, man, I hope that I wish that I had a direct line into Allen Park. Because if I won the toss, while I'm usually a defer at halftime guy, if I won the toss, I would want the ball first, get the crowd in it. Dallas did us a favor. They won the toss. They deferred. They gave us the ball. I talked about establishing your identity right away, going right down the field. I said I didn't want 3. I wanted 7, and then take that tension out of the building and put the raucousness in the building, put the doubt into Dallas's mind, make them know that you were there, that you were utilizing your weapons, and I'll get to that in a moment, that you were utilizing your weapons, and you send a message to Dallas and let them know that you're here, you're in it to win it, you've arrived, you're not going anywhere, you're not afraid. Dallas was hot, national pundits, really behind them, and they have played well leading up until last night. Lions ended up getting a field goal out of the deal, came up short from the 6, which was unfortunate. Am I talking about hockey? No, I'm not talking about hockey. I'm talking about the Detroit Lions right now. So we took the 3, but they established their identity. And here's the thing. And when you see a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown come out and play in a condition like that, I don't know if anybody's ever had a sprained ankle or to what degree and level you've had it, but that's no joke. And when you're running with that type of force and cutting and planting, that's not easy to do. I'm sure they shot him up. I'm sure, wrapped it to Kingdom Come like a mummy, but that's not easy to do. And that just tells your team, I'm with you. I got you. I'm one of the leaders on this team. Come with me. Follow me. I talked about Dan Campbell needed to get creative, and he is very creative by nature. I talked about getting J-Mo and Gibbs in space. I very specifically talked about, Dan, please move Gibbs around, line him up in the slot. What did we see all night long? You gave different looks. They didn't know what to do. You immediately established, I believe he had 7 for 72, if I'm not mistaken. It was like, man, did he watch the show? That was beautiful. Yes, St. Brown, I think he had 92 yards. J-Mo had 97 yards. And they didn't know where to stop it. Yeah, you got Laporta out there. So I talked about yesterday how you've got to use your other weapons to to compensate for that, to overcome that. And that we could sit here and we can complain about injuries forever. But the bottom line is no one has Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, let alone St. Brown. I had said if he didn't play, nobody has those two guys. And it showed. And it was explosive. And it was hard to stop. And that was an incredible game plan, and then followed by execution. Goff was on target pretty much all night. Pressure in his face a couple of times. He didn't make the big mistake. You got to credit him for that. Absolutely have to credit him for that. Offensive line was better. It was nice to see a lot of what we saw from Miles Frazier. That's what we hoped for as fans. That's obviously what they hoped for in taking him in the draft. Man, if he could come along like that, that's a huge thing, not just for now, but for the future. Obviously, he's been IR all year long. He was cleared same time Ragnow was announcing his comeback, which obviously didn't work out. I'm unretiring, and basically I'm retiring again because I got a grade 3 hamstring. So an absolute incredible effort on both sides of the ball and on special teams. And if you watch the post game talk by Campbell, and he gave out the game balls, he gave one to Muhammad, which was awesome. And I've been talking about get Davenport out of the lineup, please. He's just a body. He doesn't move. He doesn't do anything. And there's this infatuation with him. He's not a difference maker. Muhammad, he's now leading the team in sacks. He's got more sacks than Hutchinson. You have to keep him on the other side going forward. Perhaps there's a certain type of matchup at some point, and you need to mix it up a bit. I get it. You mixed it up a little bit last night, but dude can make some plays. He can change some games. He can create, a sudden change in a turnover. And if you're running pressure from one side, opposite of Hutchinson, then he's getting his, and you're getting McNeil up the middle, you really have something there. And then a super solid linebacking core helps protect your depleted secondary. And now I haven't got the news yet on Branch, but depleted even more. It's amazing. It's just a mass unit. Guys out over and over and over. But again, I talked about this yesterday. We can't talk about the injuries because it's every team. Are we at the top level last year and pretty much again this year? Yeah. But Dallas lost CeeDee Lamb yesterday in the first half. Would that have made a difference in the final outcome of the game? Perhaps. It probably would have made a difference in George Pickens' behavior. Man, where did he go? I did a video earlier in the week about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers and about the Steelers getting rid of him. And did the change of scenery work? Well, he reverted back to George Pickens yesterday. Half-assing it, going slow, not running his routes aggressively and precisely. And Lamb goes out, and you could see it affected them. Absolutely affected them. Whereas you saw when Lamb was out in earlier games this year and Pickens was the clear number one, they were performing better. But that defensive performance yesterday, although you allowed that many points, 30 points, that's a significant amount of points and, above most teams' averages. But it is the way in which they play defense. It is in the way in which that those points were scored. First 9 points, obviously 3 field goals. So they had no answer. They answered a couple of times, but they had no answer to stopping us, offensively, them defensively stopping us offensively. And I was posting live, tweeting live on X throughout the game, and I said, well, this is arguably the biggest drive in Lions history right now. You got to go down the field and you got to get 6. And man, did they zip, 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 go down the field and get 6. Campbell gave out 4 game balls. One was to St. Brown, one was to Goff, one was to Muhammad, and one was to Tom Kennedy. Yeah, that Tom Kennedy, our preseason hero, that somebody told him it's not preseason anymore. He thinks he's still in preseason because he always performs in preseason, never gets an opportunity at this level, at the top level. And maybe they found something here because dude's doing some things. You start getting the ball at the 35 and the 40 almost every single time. You're basically 30 or so yards, 35 yards outside of field goal range. I mean, you're right near the 50. You're in a striking distance for a shot play down the field. With a guy like Jameson Williams going 50 yards or 60 yards versus 80 yards as an example, or 75 yards, massive difference. So great field position pretty much all night long. Let's get into the officiating here for a second. Again, if you don't know me, if you don't know my background, longtime coach, I taught all my players, I taught my assistants. We were never about that. You need to play through it. You need to play around it, over it, under it, whatever you got to do. You can't look for excuses on officiating. But man, it's getting really hard. And it's both ways, guys. It's both ways. That's pass interference on Anzalone, on Ferguson. The goal line play, the safety, then no safety. You know, when I originally looked at it, I thought that's clear cut. That's a safety. And then when they replayed it, it's like, so where does the contact start? And then in relation to where the ball is at that time, is it touching any part of the white of the goal line? And to me, it's bang bang. It's questionable. It's almost impossible to say our eyes can't see that. I mean, I don't want to grab the football there, but that the ball didn't in some way touch some part of the line. But to me, that was so close, it could go either way. But you're seeing calls all game long in all games. This is not just a Lions thing. It's not even just a Cowboys thing. It's in every game. Something needs to be done. You know, I put a comment up on X today. Somebody was, screaming about the officiating. And I said, the human error, you have to be done with the human error as much as you can. You got to put more digital stuff in it. You got to make it would lengthen the game, but you want to get the call right. And it's like, you have to automatically review basically anything that's close anymore and get the human element out of it. And the guy said, and he made a great point. I said, you got me there. He said, what difference would that make? They're still going to get the call wrong. And it's like they do the replay and conclusive, inconclusive. It's got to, all of that type of stuff's got to factor in. But it's like even when they replay things, expedited or otherwise, it's like it's still not getting right. I don't know what the exact answer is. I really and truly don't. But it's inconsistent. It affects the games. And it can't come down to that. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. The problem is it's the same. I don't want to get into some long thing here, but I always use the example of baseball. Some umpires have a different strike zone than others. Does that make any sense? Remember Glavine, Maddox, Smoltz? Remember those guys? This is like they got the outside corner in the National League off the plate, and they utilized that and built Hall of Fame careers. You go into the American League, there is no outside corner outside of the outside corner like that. You couldn't pitch there and get a strike. It's like been this way forever. It's like, can you make up your mind what a penalty is or what a strike or a ball is or whatever it is and stay with it? And if you're not consistent, you've got to fire these guys. You just got to get rid of them. It's really not that difficult. And I don't know if you got to get younger officials, no disrespect to, people my age and older, but you got to get guys that are just, I don't know, more quick-witted, more able to get to from A to B quicker. I don't know, maybe their vision's better, but you got a bunch of guys out there that I don't think they agree or even know what a penalty is or isn't. And as a fan, it's very frustrating. As a coach, it's very frustrating. And it happened to me in basketball as a 8-9 year basketball coach. What is a foul? Does anybody even know anymore? What is a travel? What is a carry? Nobody knows. It's like these rules and penalties evolve and they change, but they didn't tell anybody. So we just have to guess it. And as a player, you don't know what to do. Tell me what the rules are. Stay consistent with the rules, and I'll play what a penalty is. I'll play around it. It didn't happen. It's not happening. They got to change it. So the Lions were 7-5 going into last night. They're 8-5. He needed to win out and go 5-0. I understand what the percentages were. And if they lost last night at 22%, the hell with that. You're not getting in if you lost last night. I don't believe you're getting in if you lose at any of these 5. It's one at a time. Campbell said it last night. You got to win 5. Those discussions are internal. You got to win out. You have to give yourself the best chance. You know you got to win out. But you can't think of it as 5. You got to think of it as 1. Actually, you can't even think of it as 1. You got to think about it play to play and quarter to quarter and half to half. And you got to do that consistently and consecutively over a period of time, redevelop the momentum, and now you're 1 down. Now you have 4 games left. What do you got? You got the Rams coming up next Sunday. Now you get a little bit of a rest, which is good, and you're going to need it because of Branch. You're going to need it because of other guys. Everybody's freaking banged up, but every team is banged up. But I'll just speak about the Lions. You're banged up. You need to get better. You're going to L.A. You're going to play the Rams next Sunday at 4:25. And of all people, you got to play against Matthew Stafford. Wow. They got a cupcake game this week against Arizona. They're going to blow through that game. Then that's a must-win for them, too, because they want the bye. They want home field throughout. They want people to come through their building. They're going to win. If you don't think Stafford's going to have a little extra oomph, if you don't think that the Rams are going to have a little extra oomph because of Stafford, you don't think McVay's going to have a little bit of extra oomph because of Goff? He wanted him gone. Now he's coming back. How do you think that's going to sit with Sean McVay if the Lions go in to Los Angeles and beat Stafford and beat Sean McVay in their building? He don't like it, and he's a competitive dude. He's going to scheme up like there's no tomorrow. So it doesn't get any easier. It just means one's down. Here I go talking like a coach. It just means one of them is down. And you got 4 left. So what do you got? You got the Rams. You got Minnesota. Oh, man, I don't have it up in front of me. You got the Rams. You got Minnesota, Chicago, last game of the year. Man, that's going to come down to something. And who am I missing on the 4th team here? 1 second. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, Steelers. Rams, Steelers, Vikings, Bears. So in my opinion, I mean, I get torn up for this. I don't think the Bears are that good. I really don't. I think they've had every break in the world. I think they've maintained health throughout the season, which is crazy. There's a lot of luck that's got to come with that. And it's not just the Bears. Everybody's got to have it a little bit. The Vikings are a mess. I think the Bears can be beat. We've already beat them once this year. Pittsburgh can absolutely be beat, but you can't go there yet. All eyes, to quote the man behind me, Belichick, we're on to Los Angeles. We're on to the Rams. And all focus has to be there. Do not look ahead. But, folks, you saw it on display last night, and I begged for it again. For those of you just joining, I begged for them to put Gibbs in the slot, move him around. They did. He's a weapon. You don't want to overwork the guy. You don't want to put him in a position to get hurt. You want to get Montgomery in there. Montgomery had 60 yards, I believe, which was huge, and he had that touchdown, the long run. Nails. You know, pick your poison. You want to beat me this way, or you want to stop me? You want to stop this guy? Okay. All right, you got to stop that guy. How are you going to stop them both? You want to stop St. Brown? You want to stop J-Mo? And then I talked about Tesla yesterday. Time for him to step up. Khalif Raymond is out, and there he was again. Absolutely. So when we talk about injuries for the Lions, we have to remember how deep they are and what an amazing job that this franchise did to be able to put that many parts on the field to where you can overcome something like that. And you can do it with versatility, right? You could do it in the passing game. You could do it in the short game, mid-range game, deep shot game. You could do it with a more physical bruising back like Montgomery. You can do it with more of a scat back who can both rush between the tackles and line them up in the slot and catch 7 balls out of the backfield like Gibbs and be so explosive like that and get free and go 22, 23 miles an hour down the sidelines and nobody can touch them. And these guys, by the way, these are all very high IQ football players. Right guy, right fit, right price. It's Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell's model. These are not just guys. You will not see a George Pickens type behavior. I mean, Jameson Williams did it a couple times. You know, even this year he did it once. He did it a couple times over the past couple of years, and they had to mature him a little bit. He had to mature. But generally speaking, you're not going to see that because they don't draft those type of guys. It's guys who get it. And it's guys who already get it. They want to get better at what they do. So when you build that type of buy-in, that first of all, you build that type of character, and you have a philosophy, and you get that type of buy-in. I talk about this all the time about what I did as a coach. You get that buy-in, and you show them that you know what you're doing, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. Now, all of a sudden, you could really build some momentum. And it's like, all right, there's trust that's developed and built. And then you got to have your main guys, Jack Campbell on defense, Hutchinson on defense, Goff on offense, St. Brown on offense. You have guys that can take your message and take them through the units. Offense, defense, special teams. And speaking of special teams, when Jake Bates got absolutely lit up on that attempted tackle, I said, oh my gosh, now we're going to lose our kicker. But dude, little guy, I seen him going like this, and he was grabbing his pads like this, and he came back strong. So and when he lined up for that field goal, I'm like, this one might not go in. So what an incredible performance. It feels good. It's a feel-good Friday. It's 8-5, and you bought yourself another week. You bought yourself another opportunity to be great, and you're going to be the underdog. And there's no question in my mind. I'm convinced, beyond convinced, this team, and most of it comes from Campbell, flourishes more so in the underdog role than it does in the favorite role. Now, they played well last year, 14-2. You're going against the Minnesota for division and home field and everything. Last game of the season, you come up huge, 31-9, I believe it was. You end up the season at 15-2. You played in a position like that. You were favored in that game. You won that game. So it's not to say that they can't win favored games. They were favored to win last night, 3.5, depending on when you got it and where you got it. But the underdog mentality, the grit mentality, the you think we can't do it mentality, that's powerful, folks, and it's dangerous. Trust me, I've been on teams, coach teams that were underdogs, and then I had an ultimate power team. And we won tons of championships. And you're marked. You're literally marked. You are on everybody's radar. And everybody's giving you your best shot. They're giving you a championship performance every single time you are in a favored position like that, and you are in a dominant position. So like the Rams will be next Sunday after they beat Arizona this week. Who you rather be? So the Rams are expected to win. Let's just talk about this for a second. The Rams have a lot at stake. The Lions will have everything at stake too. If the Rams lose, their season's not over. It's just going to affect their playoff positioning and whether or not they get a bye. But quite frankly, when you get in that type of scenario, more pressure is on the Rams than it is on the Lions. You're at home. You're supposed to win. You're expected to win. And you have this team coming in with a chip on their shoulder, just beating basically the hottest team in the NFL in your own building, and you did it rather convincingly. Scores 14 points. It was mostly 10 to 12 point type of range most of the game. They were in full control from jump. It really was never in doubt. There was a moment we say, "Oh, we got to get this drive. We got to score 6," but they did. So it was really never in doubt. So if you're the Rams and you're thinking, man, they got 10 days to prepare. They got 10 days, 9 days, whatever, to get healthier, and they're going to come in here. They're 8-5. Lost there for a second. Whoa, man. Video and audio went out. Sorry about that, guys. They know Stafford, and they're coming in looking to take care of business. So I love the Lions' chances. The prepper will be there. The rest will be there. Everything will be lined up. The Rams will be playing a shorter rest. And again, sometimes shorter rest, like look at, sometimes teams on a quick turnaround, everybody says, oh, it's a quick turnaround, they might lose. Sometimes it works in the favor. It's either way. And again, I always talk about life, business, and sports and how they intertwine. It's amazing week to week how things can change. Man, let me close a couple of the windows up here. Maybe that's doing it. You're trying to win, obviously, every game short or longer rest. However, sometimes you play better on shorter rest than on longer rest. You get a little complacent, you get a little lazy. And it's just the same thing as if you have so many wins and you don't need to win as much as other teams do, it can set in. But man, the whole world against you a week ago, maybe you're questioning everything you're doing and everything you did. And then now how do you feel? And how does Dallas feel? How does Jerry Jones feel? You went and you traded Micah Parsons. You got Kenny Clark. You got Quinnen Williams. You got George Pickens. I don't know. In the end, are you any better? You're explosive. You got Overshawn back. You're not going to the playoffs. So all that stuff can change on a dime. You got to be good throughout. I'll take Dan Campbell over Schottenheimer any day of the week. Sorry. He's actually doing a better job than I thought he would. I always thought he was more like a coordinator than a head coach. I'll give him credit for that. There's a lot of egos in Dallas, including the person you work for. That can't be easy. But love where the Lions are at now. Needed to get this one to get to the next one. And they played with that. They played that way. They played with a sense of urgency. They played as if there is no tomorrow. And you love to see a team step up like that in a moment where all the chips are down. And if you don't think that those guys were questioning themselves at some point, you're mistaken. Every athlete does it at some point in time. How strong are you mentally? How strong is your supporting cast? That all depends, right? That all helps or hurts. There's great guys in that locker room. There's great coaches on that staff. Guys like Spielman in the front office. Guys like Barry Sanders around the team and others. I'd be really, really nervous right now if I was the Rams. I'd be nervous if I was anybody in the NFL. I'd be nervous if I was Benny Johnson. Because you know what? They're still within reach. It's not totally impossible. The NFC North is still winnable. You've already beat them once. You play them the last game of the year. Now, wouldn't that be, that's why they flexed it, to be determined. Now, wouldn't that be theater? If the division and everything's on the line and it's Chicago versus Detroit, can you imagine last game of the year? We might be headed right there. And, you know, all things being equal, they're healthy, let's say, and we're relatively healthy. I will take the Lions 100 out of 100 times. Point blank, period. I don't care how one team is playing versus the other. I will take the Lions over the Bears any day of the week. I'll take Dan Campbell over Ben Johnson as my old coordinator. I don't want Dan Campbell to keep the job forever. I want him to get it, you know, the proper OC in next year and focus on head coaching duties. And Ben Johnson can play both roles all he wants. I'll take Dan Campbell over Ben Johnson any day. All right. So one of the cool things that happened last night, let me get this up on the screen correctly, is PB's picks. I gave you guys 6-1 last night. They're listed out there. Dak Prescott was what I felt was the best pick all year long that I had given, and he sailed over it. Basically, I think it was 98 yards over. I think he had 376 or 377 right in there. So way over the total. Started out slow, but he got it. Jahmyr Gibbs, way over 35.5 receiving yards. Jameson Williams, way over 63.5 receiving yards. Jameson, over 4.5 receptions. I believe he had 7. CeeDee Lamb sailed in the first half, sailed over the 85.5. Total score over 54.5. Obviously had 64 points. Dak Prescott, 3+ touchdowns. That's the only one that came up short. Guys, seriously, hit that code in the upper right-hand corner to go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Follow us on X at PB Sports Talks with an S. When I start to get a little bit hot like this, usually it lasts a while, particularly this type of year when we've seen a lot of things and we've seen injuries. You know, the college playoff coming on, I usually get pretty hot. So So keep this live and fresh. Subscribe and follow, and hopefully things turn out really good for you. I don't even play, to be honest with you, I don't even play these picks. And one of the reasons that I do that is because it allows me to be more focused, and it allows me to have no emotion invested into it. Nothing financially. That might sound weird. Most people say, well, how could you not play your picks? Well, when you're playing your picks, you think differently. When you're listening to somebody that's maybe a little bit more clear-minded and has, no stake on it and no horse in the race, so to speak, you see things a little bit different. So that was very clear to me yesterday as I was doing it and putting it together for you guys. So glad that it came in 6-1. Hopefully you jumped all over it, and hopefully you follow for the rest of the year. So as we go into the weekend here, I'm unsure if I'll have episode 61 tonight, now that I was live yesterday and today. I don't ever want to overdo it and be this person, just shoving information down. That's to be determined. Keep that out. Yes, 60 episodes we've done so far, 60 weeks. It's one a week, 60 weeks. We're due for 61 tonight. Not sure if we'll do that. Excited about next week, whether next week ends up being 61 or 62. My co-host Luke Fromm will be returning. He's been out for about 8 weeks. Luke is a former superstar high school athlete, 2-time All-State, state championship quarterback, went on to college and smashed records, played against Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, Dante Moore, played, one-on-one. They guarded each other. Ryan Hollins, that plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, guarded Luke at Warren De La Salle, and Luke dropped 24 on him. Luke is a top 15 all-time athlete at the famous Warren De La Salle High School in Michigan. And so good to have him back and get that perspective. He's the younger, more modern person. Luke played for me. I'm more the elder statesman in the room. And together we mesh his viewpoint, my viewpoint, and collectively give more information to all of you guys from different perspectives. He's able to give it from obviously a quarterback's lens and eyes, a younger mindset of the more modern game, having played against those guys, having gotten lit up by Aiden Hutchinson. That's right on my feed. You can find that there, where he throws a 50-yard touchdown pass and gets planted simultaneously by Aiden Hutchinson when Luke was at Warren De La Salle and Aiden Hutchinson was at Dearborn Divine Child, and they were playing at Ford Field, I believe it was. Yeah, they were playing at Ford Field. And it was like form tackle by Hutchinson, and just drives him right into the ground. So looking forward to having Luke back next Friday night. He gave the go-ahead yesterday. He said, pencil me in, coach. I'm back. So looking forward to having him back. And then one last thing before I let you go, and this is another reason to keep following, because I'm going to start getting the information out there. We're going to get back to some of the things that we have been planning on doing, where you'll be able to subscribe with us and you'll be able to get behind the scenes content. This is not just for the fans out there. This is going to be constructed and designed in a way to help coaches at different levels, to help players at different levels, particularly the up and coming levels, middle school, high school, AAU, even in college, and parents of youth players, and how to go through that process, how to actually help develop an athlete while putting them first and not yourself first, and exactly what to expect as you go along that journey and that path. What coaches are looking for, what organizations are looking for. Again, from my perspective as a former 7-time championship coach, from Luke's perspective as a 2-time All-State, 1 in basketball, 1 in football, state champion, went to college, smashed every record that the college ever had at the quarterback positions. We're going to give you that perspective, and you'll need to subscribe to get that. It'd be very, very affordable, less than $10 a month. I will give that out here in the next couple of days or so, and we'll get that all rolling out for you. Hope to have you guys, again, follow, subscribe, scan the code up at the upper right-hand corner there. Takes you right to YouTube. Smash the subscribe button. Hit the notifier so you get those notifications. And then on X at PB Sports Talks, please share it with friends, family, teammates, etc. Lions, again, heck of a performance. Proud to be a Lions fan. Wrong side. Proud to be that Lions fan. You see the ball back there. You see the hat. 8-5. We're on to the Rams. Everybody have a great day. I say it all the time. Hug someone, hold someone, love someone. Life is short. Have a phenomenal weekend and a great Friday, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.